And when I see that, I have to think about how the quote-unquote eugenicists feel about the human race. And I step back and I say, you know, they might have a point. They might actually have a point. Who needs these people? But I know this is a pretty cold-hearted thing to say, but if the world were in a fevered pitch of chaos, if there was martial law, if the shelves on the stores were barren and empty, how do you think those people would act during that kind of a crisis and that kind of a situation? I'll tell you how they'll act. They will do exactly what they did to those stores. That they'll do it to your house, and they'll do it to your property. That's how they'll act. These people are really, and I hate to say this, look, we all have the redemptive spark of our Creator, God as you will, inside of us, which means that, yes, even those people have the ability to wake up and transform or be transformed out of their ignorance or through their ignorance. They can experience a transformation and wake up from their ignorance. Theoretically, they can. I will always hold that peace, because if I don't, then there's separation, and we can't live in a world without separation. But I'll tell you, they're a long ways off from that, and I think that they're potentially very dangerous in an environment where there aren't a lot of resources. If you think that you're seeing something really drastic when they stomp each other for a $50 Blu-ray player, what do you think they'll do for cans of food? Just think about that. It's an unnerving thought. And this part of the populace has been born and bred to react in this fashion. It's like one giant Skinner box. One giant Skinner box. And I don't have any solution to that for the masses, the black masses of Black Friday, because Black Friday is a black mass. Literally and figuratively, that's what it is. It's a black mass. And the energies that feed upon those people. I mean, think about it. Let's take this up a couple of notches, okay? Let's say you're a fourth dimensional entity, maybe a fifth dimensional entity hanging out, slumming in the fourth. Where are you going? Where are you going? You are going to shopping malls, you're going to stores, you're going all over the place to feast off this energy, the greed, the anger, the lust, the sadness. I mean, just think about all the juicy, fecund, black energy those entities are just soaking up in Buckeye, Arizona. Watching this man face down in a pool of blood, watching the people that are bewildered, watching his grandson cry and wail over what happened to his grandfather. Think about that. We are living in the Matrix. We're truly living in the Matrix. And what drives the Matrix are feelings like this, emotions, dark emotions, fear, resentment, anger. And then what happens? Well, the program that drives the Matrix gets a boost. It gets bigger, and it gets stronger, and it gets more invasive. And it empowers those who create these situations on the planet even more. And these people don't know. They just don't know. They just don't understand. Forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do. Well, I had an interesting Thanksgiving, aside from the witnessing of the Black Mass of Black Friday. I was driving on the freeway on Thursday morning, and it was really interesting. I've been thinking about this upcoming Mercury retrograde, which we're now in, by the way. I've been thinking about it, and I thought to myself, oh no. I had one of those oh no moments. And I'll tell you why I had an oh no moment, because Mercury's in my first house right now in Sagittarius. Not a great place to have a Mercury retrograde, by the way. Not a great place at all. You really, I mean, if you've got Mercury showing up in your first house, your third house, maybe, let's see, seventh house could be, if you want to re-rack your relationship, the most important relationship in your life with whoever you're with, maybe Mercury retrograde is not necessarily a bad thing. Look, ultimately, I don't think Mercury retrograde is a bad thing. I'm not that fatalistic. But what it does is it will force you to go through whatever you need to go through in order to upgrade and get through whatever and wherever Mercury is showing up. So for me, my first house is how I move through the world, right? That's the first house. Mercury is motion. Mercury is going from place to place. So I'm on the freeway on Thursday morning, and all of a sudden I see a huge cloud of gray smoke just flying out of the back of my car. I'm one of these guys, I constantly check my rearview mirror to see who's behind me. That was interesting. So I see what looks like, and it was kind of wet that morning. So maybe it was water. Maybe it was, I hit a puddle or something on the freeway, just spray. But it didn't stop. So I pulled over, and it was pretty clear that it was more than water. So I got out of my car, and I looked under my car, and I had all this transmission fluid just leaking out of my car. Brutal, absolutely brutal. So I got off the freeway, I went and I got some transmission fluid, I put it in my car, and I looked, and there was actually a line that had been disconnected underneath my car. So I put it back in, drove home, and then I turned around to drive to my mother's house for Thanksgiving, and on the freeway, it again started to do its leaky thing. Again, I shoved it back in there, and I drove off the freeway, and I spent most of Thursday underneath my car dealing with the line and putting more transmission fluid back in my car. So I picked up my son, and we went to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. We made it. We actually made it there, which was good. And I spent next 2 days there. Went and saw Hugo. I'll talk more about Hugo in a little bit, the new film by Martin Scorsese. And it was time for me to leave on Saturday. I got in the car, retraced my route. I'm getting back on the freeway, and lo and behold, there's the smoke. Just a little bit. I'm thinking, oh man, I thought I really took care of that line. So I'm driving down the freeway, and there's a tunnel that I have to go through in order to get to from where my mother lives to kind of where I live and where my son's mom lives. And as I'm approaching the tunnel, the car is shuddering. And I'm thinking, I got to get through this tunnel. And that's when I got into prayer mode, and I made it through the tunnel, but I didn't make it through a whole lot else. Drove down the hill, parked at a gas station, and threw some transmission fluid in there, and lo and behold, it was like somebody had taken a knife to my car, my transmission, and just slitted the jugular of my transmission everywhere. So there it is. It's at a gas station in Berkeley. I think, wow, this is a bummer. Now, again, how do I react to this? How do I react to this situation? And I do not have the resources to just call up a tow truck, take it to a transmission place, have them replace it. I don't have those resources. I just don't. So I have to tap into my network and have somebody pick me up. And so I had a friend pick me up. And I drove home, and a friend of mine out of the blue called me, and I told her what happened. She said, well, guess what? I have a friend who's in Spain. I'm like, really? Yeah, well, so? So, well, she has a car she's not using. Maybe you could use her car. She's not coming back for a while. And also I'm thinking, wow, this is great. This is great. Isn't this great how the universe, taketh and giveth? I'm thinking, wow, this is cool. All right, let me just see where it goes. Meanwhile, I'm trying not to, panic or freak out or not be down or not blame anybody, just be in the moment, right? When you're in chaos like this, the best thing you can do is just be in the moment and not judge where you are and try to figure out how to deal with it. And that's where I was. So she calls her friend. Her friend is in Spain. Her friend says, she sent her an email. Her friend said, yes, by all means, let him use the car. I'm thinking, great. Now I've got an answer to my problem. I've got a solution. So it's a smart car. It's one of these two-seater smart cars. The battery's dead, so we've got to go jump the battery. We go to her place. We go to another friend's house where the car is stored. We actually jump the battery. I start it up. I drive away, thinking, this is great. Thank you, God. Well, as I'm driving down the freeway, guess what happens? This damn thing starts shuddering. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Now I've got a second car that has just gone completely sideways on me. So now, I've got to get this thing home. I'm like in no man's land. I got to get it over a bridge. And I'm gunning this thing to get over this bridge. It's the San Rafael Bridge. It's the Richmond Bridge coming back the other way. And I get to the top and it stops. So I pull it over. Luckily, there's a call box. I call Caltrans. Caltrans comes. They jump me. In between that, the California Highway Patrol comes and starts asking me if I'm okay. And I'm like, this could get really weird. I'm driving a car that doesn't belong to me. I mean, this could get really weird. And I just did a little Jedi mind tricking, and it actually worked. So they went on their way. I got the car jumped. I managed to get it off the bridge, get it to my house. My house is the first exit off the bridge. As I'm coming around the corner, and I park it. And I stop it. I go to start it up, and it won't start. So now I've got two cars that won't work. The only thing that's worse than having one car that doesn't work is having two cars that don't work. So after I get off the air here, I get to tackle my new car, which I know nothing about. It's a smart car, and apparently I did a little research. The batteries are shit on these things, so I'm going to have to buy a new battery. Now, there are obstacles to getting the battery, which I don't want to get into, but let's just say it's not the easiest thing to do. However, I have found a solution, because why? I am determined to fix this. And I am, I wouldn't say I'm ingenious. If I was ingenious, I wouldn't be in this situation. But I am good at finding solutions, let's put it that way. So that was my Thanksgiving. On Friday, I saw Hugo, which is a new film by Martin Scorsese. And in an era where films are violent, bloody, adolescent, and looking for the most gross and cheap common denominator, laugh and thrill, whether it's horror porn or fart shit and titty jokes, Hugo is a masterpiece. If you look at it in the context of cinema today, this film is head and shoulders above anything else that's out there. Now, 15 years ago, I think Hugo would have been a mediocre film, to be honest with you.